Hey, everybody in EDLT, what, 6613-7743-7745. This summer of 2025, it's me. I'm back, baby. I feel so happy to be back and with you in class. It's hard to believe that we're halfway through the summer, and I feel like I'm just now getting started. I appreciate all of the well wishes, all of the positive thoughts and prayers, the people who've contacted me and checked up on me and said, "Hey, take care of yourself." I just really appreciate all of that. It was a little bit of a scary time, but I'm really happy to report that I'm well on the mend. Um, I feel great. I'm on my last week of medication. It's one of those things that they said, hey, even if you feel great, do not stop taking this medication until it's done, or it can come back and it'll be resistant to the medication. And I don't want to be there again. Um, I know it could have been much worse, and I'm very grateful that it wasn't, but I'm back and I'm really, really grateful. And I want to give a special thank you to the one class that took the time to put together the card and send me the card. That was greatly appreciated. My oldest son gives me a hard time sometimes because I tend to get emotional. I know you probably wouldn't think that about me, but I got weepy. I very much appreciated it. Appreciated all of the well wishes. I really, really do. Uh, it really forced me to um, slow down. Those of you who know me don't know that I don't slow down very well. I tend to have a bunch of stuff going on at once. My body very much feels rejuvenated. I was really, so side note, whether you know me or not, it's probably not hard to figure out that uh, one of my favorite things is golf. And uh, my youngest son, I've got two boys, two girls. My youngest son, this one right here, Andrew, today is his 20th birthday. And for his birthday, we had scheduled for me to take him to golf at one of the nicest courses in all of Idaho, the Tributary up in Driggs. But I've been sick and I didn't know if I was going to be released to be able to go and take him. Thankfully, I was, and we were able to go this past Saturday and go golf and do that. So I was very grateful, and of course, I'm grateful to be back in class with you in all three classes. I just wanted to shoot a video for all three of you at once so I can kind of cover the same thing. Number one, it's going to be next to impossible for me to go back and try to respond to everything. I'll go through, I'll grade. If there's something that really needs to be responded to, I will respond to it. Um, but I'm not going to, there's just no way for me to go back and try to catch up 4 weeks of work like that. But I will go through and put some grades in. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask me. Number two, in 6613 and 7743, go ahead and make your final guesses. Some of you have gotten maybe close on some of mine. Some of you are way far off. Um, but make your final guesses, and by the end of this week, I'll let you know which ones are which for me on what my truths and lies are. Um, uh, I greatly appreciate Kathy Levitt, who made sure everything got posted every week for y'all. I do greatly appreciate that. Now, listen up, if those of you who are in 6613, she posted an assignment for you due this week that was not for you. She copied it out of the 7743 and inadvertently put it in 6613. You do not have to do the research review. If you did it, thanks, but that was not an assignment for you. That was for 7743. So I apologize for that. I want to make a couple of comments about Mannix because you're doing them in the classes. Mannix are, some of them are good and some of them are not. I have a lot more expectation for the doctoral students than I do for the master students on Mannix because the doctoral students should be much better at synthesizing research. Again, make sure you give me a direct quote, not, oh, in this article, I thought the most important thing was, and then you generalize something. No, I want a direct quote and then your response to that quote. That's what I want. That's my expectation. Also, again, I'm gonna this so this comment's for 7745. It was interesting to me as I started looking at the Mannix for the authority in the online classroom stuff. When you're reviewing research, you have to contextualize date and time. There were a lot of your responses that were through the lens of today and what we know in 2025, as opposed through the lens of when that was written in 1995. Um, you know, you can't, and I'm not saying this because I was the one that wrote that. I'm just talking in general. You can't penalize an author because they didn't know what they were doing. When you read early research in the field, especially like in something like distance education, take into context the fact that what you take for granted nowadays, on how distance education works and on how online courses work, there was no such thing back then. So when you synthesize that research, when you look at it, don't penalize the author because it wasn't there, right? Imagine what research will be like in 30 years, what we will know about using AI in education. Imagine what we'll know in 30 years. But so when you read something maybe that was published in 2024 on AI in education, it will sound very dated, but you can't judge the authors because they didn't know any better, right? All of research, um, all of research is an author trying to make their best guess. It's the authors trying to make their best guess on what they think is happening. Nobody ever gets it all the way right. All of educational research is an interpretation, right? Two people can look at the data set and make different assumptions about why the data says what it is. So just be aware when you're looking at research, you've got to be critical, but not critique, right? You're critical in your thought process, but you're not critiquing the researcher unless they do something, you can critique like a poor research design, but you always put everything into context. And one of the things that's really been done well by some of you is even though you didn't find something that you didn't agree with, you've stepped back like I asked you to and tried to look at something how you might see that somebody else would disagree with it, right? It goes back to the quote. I think I said this in my other video. It goes back to the quote that's often attributed to Aristotle. I love this quote, but it's a very poor translation of what he actually said. But it's that the mark of true intelligence is being able to entertain a thought without believing it. So, in other words, to put it in a sports analogy, um, my younger son Andrew, he's been having this debate with some people about what's the toughest sport. And Andrew is actually all of my kids are really gifted athletes, but Andrew in particular is one that can just kind of do everything. Um, he played baseball at a very competitive level. Um, left quit baseball and said he wanted to start powerlifting and he wanted to learn to play golf. And within a year, he held 4 state records in powerlifting, and he had won the club tournament at our local golf course. Um, and so he's been having this debate with some friends about what's the toughest sport. His opinion is golf, and for a variety of reasons. That's Andrew's opinion, looking at the data in front of him, that golf is the hardest for these reasons. However, getting back to what I'm saying about being able to entertain a thought without believing it, if someone presents him like he asked me, and I said I think baseball's the hardest because you're hitting a round a moving round ball with a moving round bat and you're trying to square it up. Um, but that's my opinion. I said golf's the most fun, but that's my opinion. But then I also made the argument that I think cheerleading, you can see right here. There you go. Emma, who will be 16 um, this month, she's my youngest, is a competitive cheerleader. And I said, but I think cheer is incredibly difficult because of the sheer athleticism that goes into cheer. They have to be able to lift, they have to be able to tumble. There's so much strength that goes into it. And so if we follow the quote about what intelligence is about being able to entertain a thought without believing it, then we can hear that and we can go, oh, okay, I see your point. That doesn't mean that it changes my mind, but I can see how that's a valid point. If you want to, you can take that same skill set and apply it to politics, right? I don't I don't agree with you, but I can see how that might be a valid point. And I'm not going to give an example because we're not doing this with politics. This is not a political discussion, or religion is another one. I've had plenty of conversations with friends over the years about religion, and been able to say, well, I look at this and I kind of see it this way. Well, I look at it this way. Oh, well, I can see how you can see it that way. It's just that is a sign to me of intelligence, being able to entertain a thought without believing it. So when you do your Mannix, use context and push yourself to think. That's one of the reasons for them. Um, uh, but I'll go through, I'll get everything caught up and graded. Know that I appreciate you and I appreciate your patience. I think just given the fact that it's 4 weeks really to the end of class, what I just want to do is I just want to meet with each of you one time, um, just to get the time to spend with you and check in on the classes. For those of you who I don't know, really, the chance to get to know you. If you're in both classes, I'll just meet with you one time over the two classes. Go ahead and book your appointment anytime within the next 4 weeks. I just want to meet with you once and just kind of make sure that we're all squared away. And so I can answer any questions that you have. Thanks for everything. I look forward to this last month of class. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'm happy to be back. I am so happy to be back, and I will see y'all online.